Susan, tell us why you're here outside Westminster today.
I came down from Yorkshire because I voted Leave, as most of the country did, and I am disgusted that Parliament is not implementing our decision, and furthermore it's actually trying to wreck our decision to leave the EU. These people in here are paid by us, they're employed by us to implement democracy, and they're betraying democracy with everything that they do. It's completely and absolutely unacceptable.
You'd be happy with a no-deal Brexit, would you?
I wouldn't have been. I wanted a free trade agreement. But that lot have sabotaged any attempt to have a deal, and they're doing it now. They're trying to take no deal off the table, and they're trying to hand over Brexit to the EU to run because they don't want us to leave. So yes, now I want to go without a deal. I never thought I'd say that, but yes I do. I want to go without a deal. I want out, fully out, completely and totally.
What about a general election? What are your thoughts on that?
That'd be great, because most of those people in there stood and said they respected the result of the referendum and they would implement our decision, and they've lied to us. So now we need to kick them out and put in people who do respect democracy, because they don't.
I'm here because I think we need to defend our democracy, because what's happening at the moment goes even beyond Brexit. It's a direct attack on our democracy by proroguing Parliament, and all he's doing is avoiding scrutiny and accountability to the British public, because the MPs in Parliament are our representatives, and by proroguing, it's worse than a recess, because you're closing down every institution in Parliament, including scrutiny of legislation and questions to ministers. And so he's just avoiding all that so that he can push through his own agenda for no deal, which is going to be absolutely disastrous.
Proroguing Parliament is one option. It's suspending Parliament. Today the focus is very much on these MPs trying to block a no-deal Brexit, trying to take control back to the House of Commons. Are you a fan of that? Do you think that that's the best way forward to try and block no-deal Brexit and force Boris Johnson to ask for an extension?
I think the first job is to get an extension to Article 50 because we need more time to actually sort out how we're going to cope. If no deal is going to be absolutely disastrous. Day one, we are going to lose over 70 free trade deals, over 600 free trade agreements. There's going to be at least 6 or 7 years before we can negotiate any other free trade deals. And under WTO rules, we already know there's going to be a devastation of car manufacturing and farming. How is the government going to cope with supporting small business during that 6-year period? So this is the start of an absolute disaster if we have no deal. It's certainly not the end of Brexit. It'll just be the beginning of Armageddon, really, in terms of our economy.
Dave, a general election is another thing that's being mooted. What are your opinions of that? Should we go to the polls again?
Well, I think we should have a people's vote, and I think that's the way to resolve this. I'm not sure a general election will entirely resolve it, and the timing of the general election could be a trick. I'm afraid at the moment we have a government and a cabinet who are completely capable of deceiving people. We've got 5 people in that parliament who were opposed, in that cabinet, at least 5 who were opposed verbally only a matter of weeks ago to prorogation. So this is a matter for what kind of democracy do you want to live in? This is a party that is turning itself into the Brexit party in order to compete with the Brexit party.
Mike, tell us why you're outside Parliament today.
Because I think what we're facing is effectively a soft coup d'etat by a political bureaucratic caste who are in Parliament, that is designed to flout the clearly expressed and quite emphatic democratic will of the people that was recorded in the referendum in 2016.
Would you be happy with a no-deal exit?
I would indeed, yes. That's what I voted for. We voted to leave the EU with no conditions, a clean break. And as far as I'm concerned, a no-deal Brexit fulfills that to the letter.
And what about a general election? What are your thoughts about the fact that Boris may well request one?
If he has to request one, if he's forced to do that by a parliamentary caste who refused to accept the referendum result, then a general election will have to happen, and the election will, in many ways, become a second referendum. I don't think there should be a second referendum. I don't think there should be a general election this side of Brexit. But if we are forced to have one, then we will fight it.
Lovely, thank you very much. Let's head over to Janice now. Janice, tell us why you're outside here, and also UKIP seem to be a bit forgotten, really, amongst the Brexit party and every other argument going on. Just tell us where you stand right now and why you're still proud to wear the UKIP badge.
Well, UKIP were the original Brexit fighters. We've been fighting for to leave the EU for 27 years. I haven't personally, I've only been a member for 4 years, but it's a long-standing tradition. UKIP are the backbone of Brexit. We're the guardians of Brexit. We know there are many people, there's the Brexit Party, there are many Tories, and indeed people in Labour who have also fought long and hard for Brexit. But that is our main cause, our main belief, and we must always be here to be the guardians of that.
What's your response to people here outside Parliament shouting "Stop the coup"? People who don't want a no-deal Brexit to go ahead and think that by suspending Parliament, Boris Johnson is taking away our democracy.
I think it's a little bit rich, actually, considering that we voted for Brexit 3.5 years ago, and not all Remainers, many people that voted Remain do accept democracy and would be happy for Brexit to go through because they believe in the democracy, the democratic vote of our country. But I think it is a bit rich when you consider that many people in Parliament and many people outside Parliament have worked really hard to undermine Brexit and to stop democracy. So to call it a coup when we're actually trying to get something done is completely hypocritical, and we just feel that we need to be here today to show that we support democracy and that Brexit is actually enacting democracy.
So what's your message then for the people who behind you are very much louder, I suppose, at the moment saying stop the coup? What's your message for those people who've turned up on the other side today?
I think that this country really, we need to learn to be patriotic. We need to learn again to be proud of our country. We need to trust in our country. We need to be united. And I think we need to realise as well that we can survive outside the EU, and whether we're in or we're out, it doesn't really matter from a trade or an economical point of view. We need to learn to trust in our people and our country all over again. I think we become divided over an issue that we don't need to be divided over.
What about a general election? Are you for it or against it?
I don't really want a general election, but I think it's going to probably be inevitable to clear out the mess and just move forward and hopefully unite the country.